right. Well, thanks for having us, Mitchell. And thank you to the organization at Stacks for having us. This is going to be a great conversation. Indeed, I am honored to have Darya here from Royal to be talking about some of the most important things really happening in Web3 today. We're actually seeing an industry change in front of our faces, in part because of what the Royal team is doing. So Darya, I can't let this conversation go further without talking a little bit about your background. Could you give us a little bit about what you did before you joined Royal? Because you were a marquee hire.
Perfect. Of course. Thanks a lot for that intro. So yeah, guys, really excited to be here. I've been at Royal now for almost 2 months, so quite a newbie in that space. I'm leading all their artist and label partnerships and relations there. So I've been in the music industry now for over 10 years. Before that, as a good economics major, I did my stint in investment banking and management consulting. Then I did a complete switch into an industry that I'm truly passionate about. Unfortunately, I'm not very musically talented, but what I lack in talent, I make up in passion. So I started my career at Sony Music. I was there for 6 years. It was a great, fantastic introduction into the industry. I was working in a corporate strategy chief of staff role for the president of the digital business. And I joined in 2012, so a really exciting Spotify has just launched in the US. So just a really exciting time to be in the industry, convincing artists to join this platform called Spotify, teaching them about the long tail, how the purse streams, that eventually that revenue would come in, et cetera. And then, from there, I transitioned into what became digital partnerships, which became such a big part of the business and eventually a majority of the business. So there I was leading all our digital partnerships with DSPs. And while I was there, I was very heavily involved in the licensing deal between Sony and Spotify, 14 months of negotiation, all that good stuff there. And then that's when I made the switch into Spotify, and I was there for 4 years. And there I was working very directly with artists and frontline labels and managers and creating marketing plans that'll really showcase the artist, showcase a catalog anniversary, all those important moments, but at the same time really highlighted kind of the premium experience. So tapping into that willingness to pay by the listener to want to have that higher quality listening experience when you're a Spotify premium user. And then, Spotify, fantastic, both Sony and Spotify, fantastic companies to work for. But one thing that I did keep on coming back and almost more kind of theoretical exercise in my brain is how are we solving very much for a couple of things in the industry? One was around, trying to really solve for the creator economy and figure out ways in which, I'm a true believer that if an artist has a fan base and, a fan base that really loves them and follows them, then they should be able to, one, access that fan base and two, get compensated by that fan base. And so I'm not a very dramatic person, but when I came across Royal, it was just one of those moments where it just felt like it really answered that. And so what we're doing here at Royal, we're opening up music ownership to fans. And
so let's talk about that, actually. Let me ask you about that, because as to your point, there's two sides to this. There's compensating artists fairly and giving them a kind of more continuous stream, not forcing them. Justin Blau has talked about how he may have had to sell a song for $15,000, for example, but saw that by not selling it, it could produce perhaps $700,000+ in revenue. So that asset itself is meaningful, not to mention the cash flows associated with it. But that's one side, right? That's for the artists. On the other side, you have this incredible mission of helping fans invest in artists. What does that mean to you, and what does that mean to fans?
Yeah, no, I think it's really exciting, David, because I think when we think about, so what you said, the problem solved for the artist, that freedom that they have, also I would to go deeper into that, they own their copyright, they own their catalog, they're giving up a percentage of any track or of any album, and they have a choice in that freedom of streaming royalties to their fans. So, they're selling, and again, they're not selling to a corporation, to a fund, they're selling actually to the fans. And then from the fan side, it's a couple of things, there's different reasons why you would buy like a purchase a music token. Like from an investment standpoint, actually music is a great investment. If you think about why a lot of VCs and other kinds of financial companies are getting into the space, is because there is a very reliable kind of royalty stream that comes through that. So even from an investment standpoint alone, we price these in a way that we think it's fair and it's a good investment for the fans. But also, it's on the other side, the emotional value that is attached. We really believe that the market prices in that emotional value. And so there's a lot of fans that are owning these tokens because, like the bragging rights, the flex, and just like the pride that you can have to have like that song, then you own a piece of it. And then whenever it plays, you can tell them like you own a piece of it. And then on top of it is all the fan club elements that also come with the tokens, depending on what tier token, et cetera. But, like the artists are able to connect through like merch, tickets, backstage passes, et cetera. So there's like that fan club connection as well that you're able to achieve very directly with the artist.
I mean, yes, it's a totally new dimension to what are called creator coins. And you and I have spoken a little bit about this in the past, where there are some really interesting Web3 properties out there, some projects that are trying to find a way to enhance the relationship between fans and artists or creators of some sort. But you've got this real ownership aspect here of royalties that I think really enhances it. I can imagine that consumers, retail people from all over the world must be very interested in this. Has that borne out in numbers? Are you seeing that this is popular with fans worldwide?
Yeah, I think that's one of the, it's a thing that really kind of excites me about it. I think obviously the Web3 space, the NFT space is incredibly interesting, but I do think there's also a lot of noise in that space. And I think having that intrinsic value like tied to these, and we don't even like if you look into our website, you don't see the word NFT. We don't really talk too much about NFTs. It's just like that technology that facilitates that ownership aspect. And so for sure, like there's a couple of things that I'm personally and the team is super proud about. Like every single drop that we've done so far at Royal has sold out in a matter of minutes, which to me feels like that's a very good directional indicator that we're attracting, music investors and fans and not just like crypto investors. But I think the other element is like in terms of when we see kind of credit card purchases or first time token holders and things like that we're seeing from drop to drop, those numbers are actually looking really promising as well, which makes me feel, and again, all this stuff, you would have to do proper analysis and it's still early days, but it makes me feel that there's a lot of good chunk of like normal people, fan people that are passionate about investing in music, people who've always wanted to invest, but they don't know really that much about stocks. And you know what? Like I really know about music and I feel passionate about a couple of bands and I can invest in those. And I think I can actually put a stake in those. And so opening up that experience to both fans and music investors, I think it can be really powerful.
And we've certainly seen the rise, since the COVID pandemic started, of retail investors buying things that they love. This has been a force of nature on Wall Street. And you are giving an access point for people to invest in the things they really care about. I'll give you an example. Most, I'd say, of the t-shirts I own and wear that have logos on them are music related. It's something that I care about. And that's just a t-shirt. The ability to actually own a song or a slice of a song that I love is a totally different level of passion, I guess. Let me ask you this. You've had some really interesting drops. You mentioned that they've all sold out well, but one made a lot of headlines. A partnership with the Chainsmokers. Can you tell us more about that, what that entailed, what that meant, and why it's so important?
For sure. Yeah, no, the Chainsmokers was actually like something that we were really excited about, really passionate to make it happen. I think a couple of things. I think with the Chainsmokers, we kind of thought about like our product and how we can enable the product to bring in more fan and not necessarily. Sorry, am I going? Perfect.
Keep going. Yeah, you're good.
Perfect. I think with the Chainsmokers, like it was really important for us to be able to absorb as much as possible the true fandom there. So we thought about the product and how we can bring in. And so we had like different kind of VIP lists and different kind of audiences coming in at different times and being offered the tokens so that you don't necessarily have to be kind of the most savvy NFT purchaser to be able to get those tokens. I think that was really important. I think the other thing that we thought about a lot of the chain smokers, obviously it was like something that they were offering for free to their fans. And we thought that was actually a really exciting thing to do.
So yeah, let's actually talk about that, just because not everyone here may be familiar with this, but they gave out some 5,000 or so tokens that altogether encompass about what, 1% of the royalty rights for for all the songs in the album, about 13 songs. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. And so that's meaningful. I mean, they're going to really see cash flows based on this. The chain smokers are hyper popular.
No, the chain smokers are hyper popular. I think it's very meaningful. I think it's like a very thoughtful thing to also give it out for free. And then I do think that it brings it back to kind of like having that army, that street team that like they're literally invested in you and they have skin in the game. And so like it's not just like them being able to reward their top fans, which they are able to through this. And I think that's great. But I also think it really builds that true partnership between artists and fans. And we're both kind of gaining from the same things, and you both want success and everybody's gaining. And that's like actually a really powerful partnership.
But look, you've been in music for more than 20 years. You spend a lot of time thinking about how fans and artists should interact. Have you ever seen anything else like this before? The ability to really connect and form a quasi-financial partnership between fans and artists?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have to be honest, I haven't. And I know I'm going to sound a bit like a fangirl here, but that's like one of the reasons why I joined Royal so excitedly, because to me, it's also a couple of things. Because I've been in the industry for so long, there is something that we have lost in the industry, which was like that powerful moment of music ownership, when like you open that CD case, when you open that vinyl, and like, now I'm telling my age here, but like, that moment that you really felt that this is a part of it. And like, having like owning a song just takes it to a far new level, right? Like not only we're bringing that back, but where you're actually owning a song, and every time it plays, you can say that you own that song. So that to me is really powerful. And then the other side that is really powerful is just for the artist to have access to those fans, to be able to communicate with those fans, and they're really high quality super fans, right? And so I think the streaming world, I think streaming has been wonderful for the industry. I think streaming has been wonderful for the listener experience. But I also think that, one of the things that, it's more difficult through streaming is for artists to be able to know who exactly their true fans are and being able to access those. And we're able to bring those to them in a very meaningful and thoughtful way. So one thing, and David, you touched on this, but I think it's really important that at the end of the day, the fans, no matter what happens in an NFT market, no matter, like how the market moves, et cetera, the fan is still really excited about what they're owning. And I think having that intrinsic value, that ownership, that royalty revenue, et cetera, that sets us very apart from other things that are currently in the market.
Well, I can see how this is of such great benefit to, of course, fans. Fans seem to be getting the most victory here, if I'd say, and independent artists, I get it. But what about record labels? Look, you've worked at a record label before. Do they see this as a threat? Is this disintermediating them? Or do they see this as a potential ally and basically making music more profitable down the road?
Yeah, so we have a variety of artists that we have dropped. So we have like strictly independent artists. We have artists that are part of record labels and part of the majors and indie record labels. And we're currently having really good conversations, I would say, kind of in those different kind of buckets, and big independent artists, independent labels, and majors. I truly believe that this could be a value add for all parts of I don't think, and this is what I really like, because having been in the industry for a while, I think that there's a lot of things that are coming in, like potentially, and and the incumbents kind of feel a bit threatened, et cetera, because they're trying to push someone out or anything. But this one, to me, really feels additive to the industry, because you're really like zoning in the willingness to pay of those true fans, which is something that you're not quite extracting by your $10 subscription purchase. So to me, like when speaking to labels, et cetera, like there's different players will be interested in different things, but that connection, that community to fans, et cetera, I think that's something that like really transcends like a lot, like regardless of like the structure or like the company that you're at, that really transcends. Like everybody feels, like even streaming platforms, et cetera, like everybody feels that this is something that is very good for the industry. So far, yeah, the conversations have been very positive.
Well, knock on wood there. Hopefully we see more great deals from the majors as well as they adapt to the new times. When we, it strikes me, and I've been in the crypto and Web3 space since 2014, working with great companies like Stacks. And it seems to me, maybe I'm biased here, that's why I'm saying this, that you couldn't do Royal without blockchain technology. It simply wouldn't be possible. Is that true? And do you see this as an entry point to make Web3 really mainstream?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's the thing that like, even for me, like, I'm not like, I know enough about blockchain, of course, but like, I think this is like a very accessible way and entry point, because music and music ownership just feels so natural. Like, you don't have to know anything about NFTs. You don't have to know anything about blockchain to come into a platform and purchase a token. But I actually, like, what I think is super interesting is like, it is that blockchain technology that allows for that authenticity, that digital authenticity, that like of that ownerships, and it allows for that visibility in the kind of the royalty system, which we terribly need as well, because it's such an obscure model as well. So it's really ideal when a technology very specifically addresses issues, and smart contracts very specifically address issues, but without forcing upon that technology and being the forefront of what's going on. It's actually something that's like facilitating that music ownership.
Absolutely. The ownership of music here is really the key takeaway that at least I'm sensing here. And I imagine it's fantastic for fans. You actually told me earlier that you're in a lot of different countries. How many countries exactly, to the best of your knowledge, are where residents are who buy your tokens?
Yeah, no, we were actually quite pleasantly kind of impressed with the stats recently, but we're in over 100 countries now, and counting, and that's just across our 9 drops so far. So we're really hoping to scale that even further. But I think that's the thing, and with the artists that also we've been thinking, and now we're thinking about different genres and different like levels of development within the artist as well, is that it's a truly universal thing, right? So it's like very exciting to see other countries get involved and engaged. So
a huge distribution platform that this is turning into as well. So which makes me ask, you've done 9 drops so far. I'm guessing you have more inbound requests from artists looking to partner with you than you might be able to handle. Is that the case? And how do you kind of manage those relationships with artists? I know you've been thinking about that for some time.
Yeah, no, for sure. So coming in, so like, of course, lots of inbound, also lots of like artists that we would love to have on the platform, because we really believe in like their story. And it doesn't have to be like the biggest artists, like, for sure there's big artists that we really feel passionate about, like their journeys and, and what they mean to the culture and to the music industry. So we'd love to have them, but also some like developing artists where we truly believe in their stories. Because, again, from like an investment standpoint or a music fan standpoint, like how cool, how exciting, and also how like fruitful would it be if you invest in an emerging artist that is growing, and then that artist happens to really blow up and you were part of that story. I think that's something that you can like bring to fans and investors. That's actually really exciting as well.
Oh yeah, and especially for smaller artists. I mean, there's a reason to show up at concerts, or a reason to go and spread the word online, because you're an actual owner to some extent anyway, in their future. It's really amazing.
Thank you. No, for sure. And like, I like what you said about the t-shirts, like when I think about it and like in the most simple terms, in terms of like the tokens as well, on top of that investment and all that, is also like kind of almost like a superior kind of digital merch that you're able to own as well. So I think that's exciting. It's very unique in terms of the tokens as well.
Are there any upcoming drops? We only have about a minute left. Upcoming drops that we should be cognizant of, on the lookout for?
I mean, so we're not announcing anything kind of yet, but there's a lot of really exciting things coming for the summer. So we're very chuffed about that. We're definitely kind of excited to see like how like our like current token holders are going to react to it, but also how like new fan groups are going to come into the space. But yeah, like nothing that we can announce it, but exciting stuff to come. So,
all right. And where can people find out more about Royal?
So currently on our website, royal.io, you guys will see everything there. We're kind of, as we're progressing, we're also building more into the website so you can see, but for sure, like questions and, people, artists that are interested, et cetera, we're more than willing to speak to them so that they can reach out directly to us as well.
And fans too. Remember, fans, go to royal.io if you want to go and sign up and own a song. So thanks so much, Darya, for being here. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I'm flipping it back to you, MCs.